We're ready. I'll call him. We're ready. Mr. Chairman, you're live on YouTube. Ready.
I'll bring this Senate Appropriations meeting to order, and we'll start out with the roll call.
Senator Driscoll,
Excused?
Senator Garou,
Here.
Senator Larson,
Excused?
Senator Smith,
Here.
and Chairman Salzar.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. So the first item up, I apologize. The first, you will be second. The first item up is House Bill 249, the Speaker's bill, and let's get that out of the way. Mr. Speaker,
Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, good to see you, sir.
good to see you.
Thank you.
Please go ahead and tell us about 249.
249, it's runoff elections. We do have an appropriation there to backfill for the clerks as needed if they do have to run a runoff election. The amendment that we brought for you, sir, was brought by Senator Boner. He can kind of go over it. I'll just let him carry on that. It's a small correction, so.
Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are technical corrections brought to me by staff. So just, they suggested that perhaps this committee could make the amendment, or it could be a committee of the whole, either way.
It'll be only amendments from the committee members, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Senator Smith.
I would move, may I move, I have the amendment right here, may I move amendment one?
Well, let's listen to the bill, and then we
that's
can
what
deal
I
with
thought
the
we did, but,
amendments, so.
It's being addressed now.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Mr. Vice President.
Yes, Senator Sakuru, you have a question about it?
Well, I did have just one quick question before we get too far into this. There was another amendment here in my pack from Senator Case, 249, Amendment 1. Okay, so it was the committee amendment then. Okay, so it didn't have anything to do with it. I just wanted to make sure I had all my.
Mr. Speaker, please go ahead.
Had not
Before I lose
seen or
control
heard
of
about
the
that one,
meeting.
sir. So, yeah, we would bring to you House Bill 249, that's runoff elections. The appropriation that we're desiring is the $2 million appropriation in the bill to allow for our county clerks to be able to be compensated or repaid for any expenses that they might incur during the runoff election if they would need to happen, according to the way the bill is currently drafted. And so that is the appropriation and what it would be for, and that money would stay with the Secretary of State and would be allocated out and to repay actual costs of the clerks in each one of the counties if they would so have to happen to have a runoff election, so.
Any discussion? Senator Smith?
No, I'll be ready to move the bill when you're ready.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, you have public testimony waiting. We have one person by the name of Julie Fries, and I'm moving her to be a panelist, so it'll just be a moment. And if Julie would like to testify, she needs to turn on her microphone and camera. There she is.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I am here to answer any questions, and I know Mary Langford was able to come over, and I think she's sitting in the room as well. So we will stand by in case you have any questions for us. We'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Fries. Good to have you here. Any questions for? Yes, Senator Guru, go ahead.
Well, since I got all this firepower here, I will ask, is the $2 million appropriation enough for the county clerks in this bill?
Ms. Fries.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Guru, that is for us to put on that other election. That is a, sorry, I'm trying to fix my screen here. So that is a cost to us that is not local. It is all statewide races and national races. And so we did put together, we have been working on the runoff bill with the representative on this bill for quite a while. So we had some documentation and we've updated it for inflation. And so 1.5 million we had estimated for the clerks, and there probably is some other costs for the Secretary of State. So that's why it's at 2 million to run an election such as that. So I can answer more questions about that if you wish.
No. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Answered my question. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring an amendment.
Would you like to move the bill?
Okay, I'd like to move the bill.
Is there a second? I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Let's talk about amendments.
Mr. Chair, I'd motion that we bring an amendment. We have a technical correction. You have it in front of you. It's amendment number 1 and to House Bill 249. And so page 9, line 17 just changes posted to post to posted. And then page 12, line 5 just changes present to registered. So.
As a courtesy, Mr. Speaker, you want to come up here for a minute? I want to make sure that your thoughts are addressed before I pass an amendment on your bill.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, good. This is just some things, that corrective things that the staff said that we needed to do to make sure everything was right. And so thank you, Representative. And
You're good with it?
I'm very good with it. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion on this amendment? Okay, then we'll vote. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried. Any other amendments? Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 249 as amended. Senator Driscoll. Senator Guru.
No.
Senator Larson.
Aye.
Senator Smith. And Chairman Salzar. Mr. Salzar, Chairman Salzar, pardon me, do pass amended. 3 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and body. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss these bills. Appreciate the opportunity to share at least one of them with you prior to Chairman Salazar's being present. But the chairman has told me what the intent is to go into the interim and work on this stuff. I just want to talk about the history here a little bit. I think the first memo that I've seen from our staff on how do we clean up our finances and make it so that it's not just 5 people in this building that really know what's going on with our finances, where the money flows, where it comes from, where it goes to, was about 2016 that I saw. Maybe somebody's worked on it before. The speaker who just left, he asked for the same kind of information just last year. So our staff has worked pretty diligently to figure out what's the best way for the state of Wyoming to have simple, straightforward finances, remove these dips and tips that really have automatic transfers that we don't control. And I think it's our responsibility to control as both appropriators and legislators. It is our responsibility to control the purse strings, to know where the money is, where it came from, and where it should go to, and make those decisions on at least a biannual basis. These 4 bills were part of that effort that started back in 2016 to determine, what is the best course. And some of these bills actually eliminate some accounts that we're not using, that have funds in them that could be put to better use. And so I would be remiss to say that I'm not disappointed that we can't move forward because many of these efforts passed in the biennial budget on the Senate side last year and were attempted by my colleagues in the House, but were thwarted. And I think that's probably the right word, thwarted. So to get them passed in the House and not get them through this year it's a disappointment. But like I said, it's been going on since 2016. I guess the people will be left in the dark on our finances for a little bit longer. So.
Representative Bear, can you address, because I've been getting calls and I've read these bills. I don't believe that they have a direct effect on education. That's just my read of this, but can you talk for just a minute on the record with regard to this idea? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's a great question. It needs to be discussed. I discussed it at length on the House floor because those were some of the challenges that were brought. You can look at the fiscal note on 271. It says $24 million per year will be taken away from the school foundation program. And on 270, it's about $28 million per year will be taken away from the general fund. Now, on the school foundation side, it's pretty simple. We have a backstop in our Legislative Stabilization Reserve account, the LSRA, that fulfills any of those financial obligations back to the school foundation program if there's a shortage. We look like, the way the goldenrod looks now, it looks like there is a chance that we might have to have that backstop. It was also used back in 2018. Most of the time we haven't needed to use that, but we do have that backstop. And that backstop would ensure that all of our obligations are funded in the school foundation program. So then why would we take this money away anyway? And that was the discussion 2 days ago when we first presented that Bill 270. This puts it into these 5X, 7X accounts. Let's get some higher rate of return, and then it flows right back into the school foundation program and into the general fund, depending on which bill you're talking about. So one of the bills that we were talking about, we're going to present today, would have gotten rid of a reserve account that has almost $93 million in it. And in the House action, we eliminated that account and took the funds and put them into the school foundation, actually the Common School Land Fund Reserve account. That's the 5X to 7X account. And it would have taken us above the 5X to where we could go ahead and start making those kind of investments this year. So we'll wait and have our investment team wait before we can start using that account. And it's really about, making our money work for us is what it's all really about. So we would constrain ourselves. That constraint would probably only last about 1 year to 2 years before the flow coming out of our investments would be greater than what we constrained ourselves. So if you think of it as an investment, the ROI would be anywhere from 12 to 24 months.
Any questions? Any questions?
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Chairman. These are really, it does basically two things. It simplifies the budget and it increases our investment returns. And I know Senator Grew served on capital finance when we set these reserve accounts up. The intent was to get to 5X. To your question, this increases the long-term sustainable funding for the school foundation program. This is consistent with what this body started on 3 years ago. I do think my colleague's correct. We passed every one of these out last year in one form or another as budget amendments. And the discussion was at the time that came back is if we're going to modify the green books in a budget, which was already done on a number of times, we need to go back and do the statutes. That's what we're doing. It's coming back now after passing it. And then the decision was if we're going to modify the actual laws, we need to do it through a bill. These are bills. They're designed to increase our investment returns. You gentlemen know our third highest source of revenue for the entire state is investment returns. These are designed to increase investment returns for both the school foundation side and also the general fund side of this equation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to be here. As a relatively new legislator and someone who has been trying to help the freshmen, the thought of reducing some of these accounts, of streamlining the way that it works is terrific because I can make analogies. You got a checking account, you got a CD, you got a savings account, you got a trust fund, and everybody understands those terms and more quickly begins to understand what it is that we're doing here. One of the issues that I had earlier, I think the governor's rec was to take money out of the LISRA and put it in the SIPA and then move it over to the general fund. And it becomes a bit of a shell game, it seems. And it just, if we could streamline these accounts, make things simpler, that's terrific. And then as for the spending policy, yeah, it's a little bit of a hit right off the bat, and it's a smaller, like 4.5%, but it's a much bigger piece of pie. And to be able to, I think I've said everything I need to say. Yeah.
The committee, I support these bills. I support the concept of these bills. I will tell you that after talking to a number of members, I think some are not quite sure what they do. Others believe that it needs to go to interim. And so I believe these bills will eventually become law. I know maybe a couple of you don't agree, but it's my suggestion that these go into an interim, but I'd like to hear what the committee has to say. Senator Guru.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I have been supportive of these bills. Been supportive of these bills for the last couple of years. We did take a small step and getting rid of the budget reserve account this year. But I think these do need to go to an interim topic now because there have been substantial changes in our financial picture since then. I know the intent of these bills is to increase the amount of money we have in our permanent savings accounts to flow back to spend in other accounts, including schools. But from an optical point of view, on the day after we just got slapped all over the room by the Supreme Court on how we spend money on education, providing a bill, even passing a bill out of this committee that would lessen the dollars in the short term that would go to education, I think would be a very, very, very provocative move that I do not want to have anything to do with. So I'd like to take the time to take the time in the interim and say, okay, we've approved a tax cut, which I'm very proud of, and I'm proud we got to move along with the House to get that done today. But let's take a look at what those costs mean. Let's take a look at what these bills can do to get us in that new revenue picture and move forward. But I think it's a talk we have to have, and it's a very serious talk to have with all the folks on our financial side and everything moving forward. So I too think these bills have worth, but I think we have to tread very, very carefully for the next few months, especially when we talk about school finances. So I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I think an interim topic's the way to go.
Any other discussion? Senator Smith.
Mr. Chair, I just would like to say, I thank you for bringing these bills, Representative. From my perspective, it simplifies things in our budget overall, the way the state handles money, all the different pots of money. It can be very confusing. You almost need to be a CPA just to have even a CPA would have trouble understanding some of the things that we do. But it simplifies things. It increases the cap return. That's just clear just on you'd have a sixth grade education and figure that, just crunch some simple numbers. So I think it does lead to a sustainable school funding situation, which would help with court cases, in my mind. Investment returns are the third highest source of revenue that we have. This would increase those towards schools. So for that, if the bill is going to be voted on, I would be for them. I don't know what we're going to do, but I certainly want to honor your intent here, Chair. But with that, that's where I'm at.
So does anyone have a motion?
Clarification that the Supreme Court did not rule against the state, it was a district court, and now we're probably going through an appeals process, so I just wanted to make sure that.
So.
I apologize
So
to
we
the
will-
district
so let's
court.
do- Let's go back. Okay, we're back. I will entertain motions.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Smith.
A motion that we do an interim study on these, and they're good bills. I'd like to see them brought into law, and if they do need to be tightened up, we can do that in the interim.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. I want the committee to know that we will have a meeting tomorrow with an agenda, and I will close the meeting.